B'Shem HaShem na'aseh v'natzliach, Shiur Torah, Bruchim Habayim. We're back here on our Wednesday night, Stump the Rabbi. We're after some Divrei Torah. We're regarding the parasha, regarding life, regarding what's going on in the world. You guys will then, after that, will ask some questions, and BeEzrat HaShem HaKadosh Baruch Hu will give us the answers. Tonight's shiur is sponsored by our dear friend Yosef Shalom David Ben Gittel. HaKadosh Baruch Hu yivarech oto bekol mikol kol, chaim arukim, shlemim, meleim Torah, mitzvot, kmilut chasadim, zivug agun BeEzrat HaShem. And this shiur is also for the refuah shlema, for Rabbi Ephraim ben Shulamit, Rabbanit Sarah bat Anat, Rabbanit Levana bat Sarah, Sarah bat Levana, Ovadia ben Levana, Yosef ben Levana, Avi Mori David ben Nesriya, Imi Morati Doers bat Jora, and all of Am Yisrael and all the righteous Noahides. Just as a reminder for everybody, anyone that wants to donate and support all of the wonderful things that our organization is doing can donate on bhtorah.org or beezrathashem.org, or you could become a paid subscriber on YouTube, which has been a wonderful option for some people, especially those that like to get some of the free merch that comes with some of the higher level of subscriptions. And of course, anyone that wants to share our Torah is more than welcome to share the links to all the lectures, and of course our books. Baruch Hashem, we have many books that we've published over the years, and we're giving out tens of thousands of Sfarim on a regular basis. We have on our store right now that you can get a box of 20 copies of this book for free. It's in English and Hebrew. And then there's also the Yochachot V'Tochachot by our dear Rabbi Ephraim that is only in Hebrew, has a lot of interesting proofs and interesting answers to big questions like where was God during the Holocaust? So a lot of interesting things in that book. Also Chassidut teachings about Gehenom, that's also in that book. And of course, everyone could get the USBs that we have. So you can get all of this for free to distribute in your Jewish community at kiruvstore.org. Kiruvstore.org is KIRUV store.org. And you can get quite a bit of things for free. Baruch Hashem, we've sent out, I think it was something like 40 or more than 40 different boxes just on Monday, Baruch Hashem, and many, many orders are coming, Baruch Hashem. So, with that being said, we're going to get into it. We have Parashat Emor. Parashat Emor has a lot of interesting mitzvot that every one of us can learn from, to apply, whether it's HaKadosh Baruch Hu telling us that if somebody has a piece of land, and they're growing crops on it, they have to make sure that they leave a certain portion of it for the poor people. In so many words, reminding us that we're never allowed to be stingy, we're never allowed to be poor, and most importantly, we're never allowed to be inconsiderate. HaKadosh Baruch Hu blessed you, whether He blessed you with a farmland that's yielding more than last year, or He's blessed you with a job that's making $100,000 a year or more. Either way, He blessed you. And it's important for a person to know that a portion of the money that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is giving you is supposed to go to publicize Torah, to publicize the name of God, to help the poor. And at the very least, a person should be giving at least 10% of their income for the sake of Torah and helping people do tshuva, as well as feeding the poor. But unfortunately, many times people never look at money in a way where they don't think they have enough, because they have all of these grandiose plans of what they want to do with their money. They want to have a retirement, they want to have another house, they want to have a bigger house, they want to have this, they want to have that. And in so many words, planning to live in this world, as the verse says, they're planning to live in this world for 1,000 years. And in so many words, when a person plans to live for 1,000 years in this temporary world, they forget about the eternal world. So one of the mitzvot that's in the Torah in this week's parasha is, in essence, reminding us of our responsibility of what to do with our money. Now, of course, we also have the mitzvot of Shabbat, Pesach, Shavuot, all of the different holidays that are in the Torah, including Sfirat HaOmer. But there is one thing that I wanted to embellish on and really build on today. In so many words, we're going to call this section a warning to all of the podcasters, all of the Jewish podcasters this parasha, I would say more than anything else you can possibly imagine, is a warning for you. And you should tune in if you have a friend that has a podcast, and I'm specifically referring to the Jewish podcasters more than the non-Jews, because this is more pertinent to them than others. So if you are one of these new Jewish podcasters, or you want to be a speaker of some kind, even those that call themselves Torah speakers, this section is for you. This section is for you. Now, why is it called a warning? Because you have at the end of the parasha, at the end of Parashat Emor, a story that seems like it almost was like pushed into the Torah. Like it doesn't fit with the rest of the parasha, hence the reason of its importance. It stands out like a sore thumb. And while, of course, the average person that doesn't delve deeper into the Torah may not necessarily see themselves in this section, but I could assure you it is relevant to every single one of us, especially at our moments of weakness, and even more so to people that speak publicly, or even simply people that speak to a lot of people. Why? Because we see from the parashat of the parasha of the Megadef, the Blasphemer, that there are certain things that happen in this horrific story that perhaps we did not delve in enough in past years, that we need to go into. And of course, HaKadosh Baruch Hu continues to renew the world and continues to renew our knowledge in the Torah. And this year he renewed our knowledge and let us know more things that need to be known. So the section is at the end of the parasha, literally just the last couple of paragraphs in chapter 24. And it is a horrible story where it says, the son of the Israelite woman went out, and he was the son of an Egyptian man among the children of Israel. They fought in the camp, the son of the Israelite woman and an Israelite man. The son of the Israelite woman pronounced the name and blasphemed. And they brought him to Moshe. The name of his mother was Shlomit, daughter of Divri, of the tribe of Dan. They placed him under guard to clarify for themselves through HaShem. In so many words, here you see that this blasphemer, this young man, who his mother was a Jewish woman named Shlomit, his biological father was an Egyptian, he went out. What does it mean he went out? We'll get to that in a moment. But he went out, he got into an argument with some people, and then he blasphemed. He cursed the name of God. He cursed Judaism. He cursed the Torah. And they arrested him, and they waited for Moshe Rabbeinu to find out from God what to do with him. Now, of course, the Torah tells us in the 10 Commandments that we're not allowed to say Hashem's name in vain, needless to say, to curse the name of God. We have other places in the Torah where it talks about how someone that blasphemes, it's a death penalty. So, what are they waiting for, really? What are they waiting for? Well, in verse number 13, it says, Hashem spoke to Moshe, saying, remove the blasphemer to the outside of the camp, and all those who heard shall lean their hands upon his head. The entire assembly shall stone him. And to the children of Israel you shall speak, saying, any man who will blaspheme his God shall bear his sin. And one who pronounces blasphemily the name of Hashem shall be put to death. The entire assembly shall surely stone him, convert and native alike. When he blasphemes the name, he shall be put to death. So here we see that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not just a fairy tale that sometimes people would like for him to be. where he loves everyone and he accepts every sin, no matter what you do. He is merciful. Well, apparently, God kills. If you haven't been to a hospice center, I would suggest you go and visit and see that God still kills today. If you haven't been privy to some tragedy, then I would suggest you look at some police reports in your local precinct and see what happens in society, or perhaps even just go to the local ambulance attendant and ask him, how was your last week? Tell me about your work. In so many words, they're going to tell you that God does kill. God does kill. Nobody lives forever. And in fact, the vast majority of people, according to a U.S. Census study done about 8 years ago, the vast majority of people do not die of old age, but rather through tragedy. So even though they say, according to statistics, that the lifespan today is longer, according to them, than it was in the past, and people lived well into their 70s or even 80s now, that's if they don't have any tragedy. But if you look at the actual death toll in the world, there are a few 100,000 people that die every single day, and a large portion of them die tragically. So God still kills. Now, here, God is instructing to kill. Why? Somebody cursed his name. Somebody mocked him. Somebody mocked his Torah. But why? Why would anybody do such a thing? Why would anybody do such a thing? The sound is not good, you're telling me? Let's see. Somebody check TikTok, please. Tell me if it sounds good or it's just their computer. I don't like to go into a whole lecture and people can't hear me. Audio is okay. Okay, so for you it's okay. Okay, for you it's okay. So the other guy has to fix his microphone. All right, his earphones. All right. So the question we have here is a very big question, because this is the 5 books of Moses. This is not some fairy tale. This is not some unknown story. This is something that you have available to you if you have the 5 books of Moses. If you have the Torah, you have it available to you. So the question is, why is it that God decided that this man, the blasphemer, has lost his right to exist? And it wasn't just that. He's even teaching us a lesson through it, telling us that anyone else that ever does such a thing, not just that day and not just that week, but forevermore, whether they are new to the religion, such as a convert, or someone that was born religious, whether they are young or old, the same thing would happen to them. In fact, he continues and then combines a few other lessons in there where he says, and a man, if he strikes mortally any human life, he shall be put to death. A man who strikes mortally an animal shall make restitution, a life for a life. If a man inflicts a wound in his fellow, as he did, so shall be done to him. A break for a break, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Just as he will have inflicted a wound on a person, so shall be inflicted upon him. This seems odd. What does one thing have to do with the other? You just told us about the blasphemer. It's the worst thing to be a blasphemer. We got that. But now you're telling me if somebody beats somebody else up. Now we know that obviously if somebody punches another person and causes them to lose their tooth, the Torah is not saying here to remove his tooth back. In essence, you have to pay a monetary reward that's going to cost him to fix his tooth. Or the value of his eye. And the value of his eye obviously depends on what he uses his eye for. If he is, let's say, someone that works in the field, his eye has a certain level of importance. But if he is a spinal surgeon, then the eye obviously has much higher level of importance. So the value is much higher. But still, we're looking for more connection here. Why? What is the connection between the two? Because if you were going to say, well, perhaps the Torah went to just another issue. You talk a little about the blasphemer, and now it's telling us about, it doesn't have to be a blasphemer. It could just be somebody that beats up another person. That's also not good, but not as bad. But no, it's not. Why? Because we're going back to the blasphemer again. Where after it tells us that one who strikes an animal and makes restitution, eye for an eye, and so on, then God says, there shall be one law for you. It shall be for the convert and the native alike, for I am HaShem your God. Moshe spoke to the children of Israel, and they took the blasphemer to the outside of the camp, and they stoned him to death. And the children of Israel did as Hashem commanded Moshe. So we see here, Rabotai, that this is all one ongoing story, all one ongoing lesson. And we must delve into the depths of the Torah in order to understand it. Now, first and foremost, if someone curses the name of God or mocks the Torah, as it says in the Torah in several places, but one of them in Parashat Kitavo, where it talks about different curses, if somebody even gets in the way of the Torah being shown to people, taught to people. Let's just say you arranged a lecture for the rabbi to come to your community and give a lecture, and somebody decided to spoil the event and told everyone that the event was canceled even though it wasn't. Or perhaps the rabbi was teaching and people were watching the lecture, and then you decided to tell the people, no, don't watch this rabbi. Let's go watch sports instead, or let's just go watch television instead. These are different ways where you got in the way of the Torah. And the Torah itself says, Udvar Hashem bazah. You desecrated the word of Hashem by doing something like that. Karet yikaret nafsho. His soul shall be cut off. So we understand that being a blasphemer is of the same horrible category of sins, where someone is in essence declaring war against Hashem. But why would this person do such a thing? Well, in the story, it goes back many years before this. And the reason why the mother is mentioned, on one end, Rashi tells us, when the son is being punished, the mother is still being mentioned because that punishment for that sin is also bringing shame to the parents. Just like anyone that sins in the world today, part of their punishment will be the shame that will bring their parents when they see the truth in the world of truth, when they're judged in Shemaim. But even more so, many years before this whole event took place, we heard of a fight in Egypt that Moshe Rabbeinu broke up. A fight that was between two Jews. A day, shortly after he killed the Egyptian that was hitting a Jew, the next day there were two Jews, one of them being the one from the day before that was being beat up by the Egyptian. Two Jews were fighting. And the Gemara tells us, who are those two Jews? The wicked Datan ve'Aviram. Datan ve'Aviram, that were certainly members of the Erev Rav. Datan ve'Aviram, that were enemies of Moshe Rabbeinu throughout their life. They were fighting with each other though. Why were they fighting? Well, an Egyptian, the same Egyptian that Moshe Rabbeinu killed the day before, he actually saw that Shlomit was saying hello to him, was really nice to everybody. She was one of those, very talkative, bubbly girls. And you're not allowed to be one of these talkative, bubbly girls that just talks to everybody because it brings problems like this one. Well, the Egyptian Said, oh, if she's saying hello to me, maybe she wants to marry me for the day. Well, what about the fact that she's married to a Jew? That doesn't make a difference. I'll get him to go work. He's a slave anyway. And the Egyptian ended up raping Shlomit. And therefore, the next day after, when the husband found out, he started fighting. With who? With his wife's brother. Because he told her, listen, she's married to an Egyptian. She goes, no, she's married to you. No. As of yesterday, she's married to an Egyptian. No, she's married to you. And they want to fight with each other. Well, Moshe Rabbeinu comes in between them, stops the fight. But unfortunately, what they didn't realize at that moment is that Egyptian and what he did brought a baby to the world. And that baby grew up to be the blasphemer. And that's why the Torah says that the Israelite woman, the son of the Israelite woman, who was the son of the Egyptian man. And he got into a fight. Who did he get into a fight with? He got into a fight with the leaders of the tribe of Dan. The leaders of the tribe of Dan. Dan gets the blessing from Yaakov Avinu many years before this. Leishuatecha kiviti Adonai. To your salvation I have awaited for, my God. That's the blessing that the tribe of Dan got. If you want to wait to remember it, as a nice little trick, in this parasha it says Lemate Dan, meaning to the tribe of Dan. Lemate means the tribe starts with the letter Lamed and ends with the letter Hey. And the verse, that's the blessing of the tribe of Dan, it starts with the letter Lamed and ends with the letter Hey. Liishuatecha kiviti Adonai. These are different ways of trying to memorize different parts of the Torah. Now, this tribe, this holy tribe of Am Yisrael, is fighting with him. Why are they fighting with him? Who is he that they're going to fight with him? Well, this son of Shlomit and the Egyptian wants to join the tribe of Shlomit, the tribe of Dan. They said, we're sorry. You can't join us. He said, what do you mean? My mom is from the tribe of Dan. And here they teach him one of the most critical rules to know, especially in this generation full of heretics and idol worshippers that claim to be Jews and claim to know more about Judaism and the Torah than the Jewish people. Here we see that while Judaism is determined by the mother, if the mother is Jewish, as obviously this man was the son of a Jewish woman, an Israelite woman, which makes him Jewish, and his father not Jewish. The tribe is determined by the father, and since his biological father was an Egyptian, he has no tribe that's part of Am Yisrael. He's not part of Dan, he's not part of Naphtali, he's not part of Shimon, or Yehuda, or Benjamin, he's not part of any tribe that's part of the 12 tribes. He's part of a different tribe. Which tribe? The tribe of the converts. The converts have a certain section, which ultimately the Moshiach will allocate them in different places, but until then, they're not part of any tribe. And he's one of those. Well, the blasphemer didn't like that so much. So after arguing, he said, well, you know what? Instead of arguing, let's go to the Bet Din of Moshe Rabbeinu. And they went to the Bet Din of Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu heard both sides. The tribe of Dan said, listen, Moshe, you're the one that taught us the rules of the Torah. According to the Torah that you taught us, he cannot be part of our tribe. It's nothing personal against him. The Torah has rules. And you said, if the father is not Jewish, he's not part of any tribe. The blasphemer started yelling and screaming, who asked you? Who this? Who that? I didn't ask to come to the world. God needs me. Everybody needs me. You know, all types of stupid, illogical, irrational arguments. That's actually what the Midrash says. That this person, this blasphemer, said a bunch of things that were completely irrational, hence the reason why the Torah says that he was fighting with them. Because if he was rational and had a legitimate argument, it wouldn't get to a point of fighting and eventually cursing the name of God, which is what he did. And Moshe Rabbeinu heard both sides and paskin the halacha that the tribe of Dan is correct. He cannot be part of that tribe. And after he heard this psak halacha from Moshe Rabbeinu, he did not like it. He did not accept it. He rejected it vehemently. And he said, "Who do you think you are?" And he cursed the name of God. Now here, Rabotai, we see that this went from bad to worse. Why did it go from bad to worse? Because it says the son of the Israelite woman went out. What does it mean, he went out? The Ibn Ezra, nearly 800 years ago, clarifies that it says Vayitze, he went out to teach us that if he thought bad things about HaShem, certainly it's not good, certainly it's a sin, but he would not get the death penalty. The reason why this had to be the most severe punishment for the most severe crime is because he went out, meaning he announced it publicly that he's rejecting the Torah. He announced it publicly that he doesn't care for the laws of the Torah. Once he announced it publicly that he rejects the truth of the Torah, it became a new category of sin. A sin that causes other people to sin. A sin that weakens others. And therefore, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to Moshe, Moshe, you have to kill him. The only reason why they kept him in prison wasn't because they thought that maybe perhaps Hashem is going to let it go. No! Says the Gemara, the only reason why they put him in prison and waited for Hashem to clarify was simply because they wanted to know whether they should put him in the same prison cell as Tzlofchad that violated Shabbat. Because for him, everyone already knew he's getting the worst punishment. So they didn't know if a blasphemer is of the same category or worse. And once Hashem clarified, and not only said that, and he said that anyone that heard the blasphemer go against me has to be part of the wrath of God, meaning has to be part of the people that will administer the punishment. Anyone that heard his blasphemy has to take on the obligation of defending the honor of Hashem, not because Hashem needs you to defend him, but rather because you need to defend the honor of Hashem, as that is part of your servitude for your one and only God. And therefore, this was going to happen. But before we're told that this actually took place, we're told of something that seems again like it doesn't fit, which even more shows us the emphasis of why we need to learn from it. Where it talks about if someone strikes another immortally, or it puts him to death, or if he hits an animal, or if he breaks a tooth, what is all of this? This, Rabotai, is also to teach us something that the average wicked person that publicizes things against God does not take into account. When you decide to go online and start spewing heresy, or simply your lack of interest in the Torah, and in fact, scorn the Torah, mock the Torah, mock the sages, mock the rabbis, you have now gone from one category of sinner to something else. When you were sinning all on your own, you decided to stop keeping Shabbat. You decided to start eating pig. You decided to go and intermarry. Whatever it is that you decided to do. It's not good. There's a punishment for it. But it is limited to a certain extent because you're not affecting others with your eating pig, with your violation of Shabbat. You're not affecting others. But once you decide to leave your multi-million-dollar temporary jewelry business, your job at some marketing company, your job as a teacher in some modern Orthodox yeshiva, and take your heretical opinions, your simple disregard and hatred of the Torah, your heresy, and publicize it online, you have now gone from one category of sinner into something else. You went from being a sinner into an enemy of God. And now you have a problem. Not with me, not with any other rabbi. You have a problem with HaKadosh Baruch Hu and any person that has ever lived since the history of mankind began that loves God. You have a problem with every single angel. You have a problem with every part of the creation. Every single day, the tzaddikim that are in heaven bless certain people and pray for them and curse others. Just like we had at the two mountains where half the tribes blessed and the other half cursed. Who did they curse? The enemies of God. Every single day that you are alive, every moment that you are able to open up your eyes, you have the greatest tzaddikim that ever lived cursing your name and awaiting for God to take revenge against you. In fact, every single Jew that loves God has the obligation to do the same thing when they pray 3 times a day. The Amidah, when we say that the laminim, the missionaries, those that are intentional sinners, may they have no hope, we're referring to you. Why? Because had you been a sinner, all on your own, eating your shrimp and your pig, and violating the kosher laws, it would be one thing. But now that you took your heretical behavior, your scorning of a Torah, and you're now publicizing it with arrogance, you now have the biggest problem that you can possibly imagine. Because you have now become the enemy of God and anyone that loves Him. Why? Because now your behavior is affecting others. And therefore the Torah says, if a man strikes another man mortally, if you destroy another person's servitude of God, where after he hears, you, Mr. Brilliant mind in the eyes of yourself, you, Mr. Millionaire for now, before you declare bankruptcy from your gambling addiction, you degenerate. If you don't want God, perhaps maybe this young, naive, young boy or a girl are going to listen to you and also not go to synagogue anymore, also stop eating kosher, also stop saying Shema Yisrael. Why? because they saw somebody that they look up to. They saw somebody that they look up to, that they admire, that they want what they have. Had they really known what they have, they would know that this is a cancer. But now you've actually destroyed somebody's neshama. And therefore, God promises, this is not just a capital punishment that happened 3,300 years ago. This is a punishment that's promised to any enemy of God that causes others to abandon God. But even if they don't abandon him completely, but rather just a little, they used to learn 4 hours a day, but after they watched you, they're down to only 1 hour, and they're struggling. A break for a break. They used to protect their eyes, and now look at pornography and all of the filth of the world. But now after they saw you, they started looking a little bit. An eye for an eye. They used to be careful with the kosher laws until your fake scientific degree that only got you a job that barely makes minimum wage at some yeshiva, that pretends to be a yeshiva because in reality the vast majority of the kids there are completely secular. Now that you told them you don't really have to be so stringent with the kosher laws and wash the salad so much and be careful for bugs and be careful for this, you could even eat a salad at non-kosher restaurants. So now they saw you, they admire you, so they're not so careful with the kosher laws. Perhaps they will have that salad at the non-kosher restaurant with their friends. A tooth for a tooth. Just like you inflicted a wound on a person, whether flesh or body, the same will happen to you. Why? You became the enemy of God. Now, of course, a person is going to think, well, how many such people are there in the world? How many? The Gemara in Masechet Sota, the last daf, predicts what's going to happen at the end of times, where even though there's nothing new under the sun, there's always been wicked people. And there will continue to be wicked people until the Moshiach comes and eliminates all of them. Still, the Gemara says that before the Mashiach arrives, all of the most wicked neshamot, all of the most wicked souls that ever existed, that still have a chance to fix something or to simply cause more damage, because that's their role, they're going to be in that generation. And that's why before every Shabbat, as we pray and praise the Kadosh Baruch Hu, everyone knows the famous psalm that we say during our prayers, Psalm number 92, Mizmor Shir Liyom HaShabbat, Tov Lehodot LaAdonai. It's good to thank Hashem. Everyone knows the psalm. Perhaps you didn't realize that in that very psalm, David HaMelech tells us the status of the world then and now. Bifroach reshaim kemo esev, v'yatzitzu kol pa'alei aven, li'shamdam adead. When the wicked sprout like grass and they flourish, all of the doers of sins and iniquity, ultimately you will destroy all of them forever. Here David HaMelech is telling us, wicked people, they grow like grass. There are a dime a dozen. Many people are wicked. How many? David HaMelech says, the majority. The majority choose to be evil. When? Now. Before the Mashiach arrives, there's going to be a majority of wicked people. Bifroach reshaim kemo esev. The wicked, they grow like grass. But a Tzadik katamar yifrach. The Tzadik is like a palm tree. Why is the Tzadik a palm tree? and the wicked are so many, like grass. We would want David to give us some hope and tell us, perhaps there's going to be many tzaddikim. Why just only one palm tree? Why just one palm tree? But the wicked are like grass? David the Melech tells us, yes, there are many wicked, and new ones replacing them every day. Why? Because they're like grass. They're here today, and God uproots them from the world tomorrow. Today they look like they're a millionaire. Today they look like they're living large. Look around the corner, and they're gone. Look around the corner, and everybody forgot they ever existed, just like grass. It grew fast, but it also got eliminated. And when it eliminated, you never even remembered that it existed. That's why we say, Shem Reshaim Yirkav, that may the name of the wicked become rotted, like completely nothing. But the Tzadik, the righteous, they're few. But when they rise, they're like a palm tree, strong. Nobody's going to uproot them. Even the most difficult tests that come like a hurricane cannot take down the Tzadik. See, Rabotai Karim, there are many people that choose the wrong choices. One of the famous people that made the wrong choice was a person that you've all heard of. His name was Balak. Now everyone says, wait, but Balak, well, what chance did he have? He grew up around bad people. No. In fact, Balak had a brother, and his brother was a tzaddik. Who was his brother? Pinchas, ben Elazar, ben Aaron HaKohen. How could it possibly be that Pinchas is related to Balak? How? Because the grandfather of both was Yitro. Yitro was a Ish Kodesh who abandoned idolatry, abandoned heresy, abandoned everything just for the sake of God. And he took as many of his family members with him as he could. But Balak didn't want to go in the way of God. He saw an opportunity. Dad's leaving. He's leaving the position of the Pope. He's leaving the church. He's leaving the money. I'll take over. And that's why he's called Balak ben Tzipor. Why Balak ben Tzipor? On one hand, Tzipor was his form of idolatry. But on the other hand, because Tzipor was one of the names for Yitro. Balak took over the position because as soon as his father left, he said, I'll take the position. And everyone crowned him and made him a king. He wanted honor. He wanted materialism. He wanted this world. But on the other hand, the other grandson of Yitro. The other grandson of Yitro was Pinchas. Pinchas ben Elazar ben Aaron HaKohen. He fought for the name of God. He fought for the honor of God, ultimately destroying the enemies of God, including Balak. Pinchas gets the ultimate gift from God, which is called Briti Shalom, the covenant of Shalom, which is HaKadosh Baruch Hu putting the Shekhinah on him. Putting the Shekhinah on him, where he now has life. What's life? He can't die. Pinchas becomes Eliyahu Navi. And Eliyahu Navi, as everyone knows, never died. HaShem took him to Shamayim and is using him for other tasks until he is tasked with the final job of announcing the Moshiach has arrived. But the Zohar Kadosh says that he has a family member, had a family member, that had the same opportunity to sanctify the name of God, to serve God, but he chose to be an enemy of God. And that's why his name is only temporary. Balak is gone. Now, many people make the wrong choice. because they don't realize what the ramifications are. And we have to see, what does our Torah tell us? Right now, during this period of time, it's customary for Am Yisrael to learn Pirkei Avot. Between Pesach and until we receive the Torah on Shavuot. And we're going to go over just a few Pirkei Avot to give us a better idea. Anyone that wants more extensive, deeper explanation should watch our series that we did on the entire Pirkei Avot. Each lecture averages at almost 3 hours, full of knowledge, full of holiness, full of things that are applicable to your day-to-day life. It is better than any guru or self-help or inspirational speaker you could ever imagine, because it's literally words of the living God. These are the ultimate musar. Many times people will read Pirkei Avot themselves, but have a superficial understanding of what it says. That series goes deeper into every single one of the Mishnayot, giving you all types of commentary and explanations about each and every Mishnah. Today, we're not going to go deep into any one of them. We're just going to go superficially, just to give you a little bit of a taste and remind all of these so-called Jewish podcasters and the people that like to publicize their heresy, publicize their sins, publicize their stupidity. This is what God thinks. In chapter number 3 of the Pirkei Avot, we have a lesson from one of the sages named Akavya ben Mehalel. And he says as follows: consider 3 things. You will not come into, if you consider these 3 things, you will not end up coming into sin. What are they? Remember where you came from. Remember where you're going. And in front of who you're going to give justice, justification, and reckoning to. Where did you come from? You came from a putrid seed. Where you're going to go? You're going to become dust one day, where worms and maggots are going to eat you. And before who will you give justification and reckoning for your actions? Before the King of Kings, who reigns over all kings, the Holy One, blessed is He. Here, Akavya ben Mehalel gives us one of the ultimate and most valuable lessons to a person, especially a person that has abandoned the way of God and has forgotten that God didn't just kill 3,000 years ago. He still kills today. Didn't just destroy 3,000 years ago. He still destroys today. Look at all of these celebrities that had what people thought was an admirable career, only to have a shameful life exposed in the eyes of the world. Instead of enjoying the peak of their life, the only thing they enjoy is if they're not discussed in a newspaper that day, because they're certainly going to be discussed the following day, and mocked and shamed and sued. When a person does not realize where they came from, then certainly they're going to think, maybe the world is mine, maybe I could do whatever I want. And therefore the sages remind them, no. You came from nothing. You came from nothing because God wanted to give you a chance to serve Him, a chance to be good, a chance to follow the Torah. You decided to go against. And in case you thought, perhaps since He's not punishing you right now, or at least it seems to you like it's that, maybe He's not going to punish you. That's why David HaMelech says, in the name of God, you thought I was like you because I didn't punish you? Now I will punish you. David HaMelech tells all of the people that want to redefine the Torah and say, no, God is beautiful, God is loving, He never punishes anybody. Well, the first 2 things were right. God is beautiful, God is merciful, God is wonderful. Yes, all those things are right. All the good is right. But at the same token, don't forget, God also punishes. God also punishes. And where do we see it? We continue. The Mishnah continues in chapter 3, but we fast forward to Mishnah number 15. Someone who wastes seed nullifies the covenant of Avraham Avinu, or who perverts the meaning of the Torah, contrary to halacha. Even if they have Torah and good deeds, they will still have no share of the world to come. You that decided to make YouTube videos to share your knowledge, but unfortunately distort the Torah to your own liking by telling people that they're allowed to waste seed because it's too difficult. It's too difficult to keep your hands to yourself because you're young. You write to people. You write a whole essay. Megale panim b'Torah, destroy and show a new face to the Torah, a face that doesn't exist, a face that you drew. Telling people that they're allowed to waste seed. Why? Because they're young? Because it's difficult? Whoever said such a thing? Oh, we shouldn't listen to the sages over here because Bet Shammai said that if they don't come to halacha, he's going to kill them. You fool, do you not understand? The righteous Bet Shammai, the school of Bet Shammai, were extraordinarily righteous people, to the extent where Chachamim say where even though the vast majority of the debates between Bet Shammai and Bet Hillel, we paskin like Bet Hillel in the majority of the cases, not all. That's only because Bet Shammai is after the Mashiach comes, when people will have the wherewithal to do the will of HaShem to that extent. But you disregard the words of the sages. You mock them. You say, we don't listen to them. You say, no, over here they're saying that if somebody wastes seed, it's like they brought the flood. They don't really mean that. They're just exaggerating. And you're telling young, innocent, gullible young men that they could just make sins. But here the Mishnah says someone like you that wastes seed because you only permit it because you do it has no share of the world to come. And in fact, in case you say, no, I don't waste seed. Well, still, you still have no share of the world to come. Why? Because you perverted the meaning of the Torah contrary to halacha. Because you don't know it, you assume it doesn't exist. No, there's no halacha that forbids it. Did you ever read the Shulchan Aruch? Did you ever read Kitzur Shulchan Aruch? Did you ever read the Rambam? Did you ever read anything other than the foolish notes you gather for your shiurim? If you could even call it that. But this, Rabotai, unfortunately, is not even speaking about one person, but nonetheless, I am targeting about one person, but not ready to expose his name, as he does not deserve his name to be spoken. Shem Reshaim Yerkav. But this is the same type of attitude that the podcasters like to say, even if they're not trying to teach the Torah, but rather scorn the Torah. Come on, you think that God cares if I have intermarriage? You think God cares if I watch things that are forbidden? You think God this, you think God that? Apparently he does. Because for something that you don't think is a big deal, God says they have no share of the world to come, which means no share of the world to come means the 7th level of Gehinnom, which whoever gets in there does not come out. Gemara, Masechet Rosh Hashanah, page 17a. The Rashit Chochmah, Masechet Gehinnom, and over 170 other sources brought in our film about Gehinnom. For those people that think that it doesn't exist or it's only a temporary punishment for a maximum of 12 months. And whoever says that the maximum punishment is only 12 months, the Ramban, Nachmanides, says that person is 100% a heretic that turned God into an evil God by giving such distorted definition. Why? To say that maximum punishment is 12 months for all sinners, you're telling me that a person that killed one will get the same punishment as a person that killed 100? A person that stole one will get the same punishment as a person that stole 1,000? A person that violated once is going to get the same punishment as a person that violated 1,000,000 times? What kind of evil God do you think we have, you fool? To say maximum sentence of 12 months is not only heretical, it's complete stupidity. But nonetheless, the heretics would like to make people believe such a thing. Why? Because they like to distort the Torah. It pacifies them. It pacifies them because they know eventually they will get their punishment. And who says so? Mishnah, chapter 4, 5th Mishnah, in the name of Rabbi Yochanan ben Brocha, says, whoever desecrates the name of heaven in secret, they will exact punishment for him in public, whether unintentional or intentional. Both are alike regarding Chilul Hashem. Here, one of the extraordinary sages tells you how it is, without sugarcoating. You desecrate the name of Hashem by minimizing his laws, minimizing his sages, minimizing his Torah, minimizing his greatness. You desecrated the name of heaven, you desecrated the name of God, even if you did it in secret. Not on the podcast, just between you and a few friends. Guess what? Ultimately, when a Kadosh Baruch Hu will punish you, he will make a public spectacle of you. Every one of these enemies of God will ultimately become a public spectacle. No less than the horror stories we've seen in the media over the last several years of major celebrities that everyone admired, like Cosby and Michael Jackson and other mitoavim, that everyone thought they were good until they realized that they are pedophiles, despicable creatures. But just like their sins were in private, silent, as they silenced whoever saw, they could never silence God. And eventually, when the punishment started, the beginning was publicizing their sins, publicizing their names, just like it's happening right now to some other people in the celebrity world. But all of these enemies of God, celebrity or not, when you desecrate the name of Hashem, there's simply nothing worse than that. That's what we saw from the blasphemer. The difference between the blasphemer thinking bad things versus saying bad things, everyone can understand it. But when you say things in private versus say things in publics, most people don't really understand the difference. Well, there is a big difference. When you said things in private between you and one other person, it's a world of difference versus you said it on a public platform for millions of people to watch. And to your misfortune, tens of thousands of people watch your heresy, watch your despicable words. And therefore, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, eventually when the punishment will come, it will be a public punishment. What if a person says, no, but I didn't mean it? And therefore, Rabbi Yochanan says, unintentional or intentional, both are alike when it comes to the desecration of God's name. Whether you meant it or you didn't mean it, it's the same thing. Why? The name of Hashem is so holy, there is no such thing as unintentional. There is no such thing as unintentional. All people that desecrate the name of God will be punished for it. How much? Gemara, Masechet Yoma, mentions it in a couple of places. In the first chapter and also in the last chapter, page 86, talks about different parts of tshuva and also certain sins that it's not enough to just simply say, I'm sorry. It's not enough to wait for Yom Kippur. It's not enough to suffer for it. There's one sin you cannot even fix until you die, which is desecrating God's name. Meaning, even if you say, I'm sorry, not enough. Even if you wait for Yom Kippur, you say, I'm sorry, not enough. Even if there's a lot of suffering, all of a sudden, your partner, your long-lost partner that you love, that you guys were boys, decides he doesn't want to be a boy anymore. He wants your money instead. And all of a sudden, everything that's in his name, like your building, like your store, like everything, he says, you know what, from now on it's mine. Hey, but I thought we were boys. We're still boys. We can still get lunch together. I'm just not going to give you any more money. Nah, come on, how can you do this to me? Well, just like that, I just did it. Why? It's not because it's because of he. HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Just like he moves the hearts of leaders, he moves the hearts of man if he wants. Why? Just for you. You desecrated his name. The amount of punishment and suffering you're going to get is literally going to be endless. And that's just the beginning. By the way, when you find out that your wife is cheating on you, when you find out that your kids are addicted to drugs, when you find out all of these horrible things, don't be surprised. Why? That's just the beginning. It's all down payment. For what? For what you did and what you're doing. No, but I just don't want to be religious. Why are people judging me? Nobody's judging you. Nobody's judging you. In fact, no one even cares what you do until you started publicizing it. Now, for all of those people say, oh, come on, how come it's so judgmental? Religious people are so judgmental. Now, you can believe your own lies, but you can't fool normal people that have been around for a little while. Everyone judges. Religious people, non-religious people. In the non-religious world, depends which community you're in. If you're in a standard blue-collar community, they're going to judge you based on what you do on the weekends. They're going to judge you based on what kind of grill you have. They're going to judge you based on how you play sports or which team your kids joined. They're going to judge you based on the simple parts of life. They're going to judge you based on which church you go to or things of that nature. But they certainly will judge you. If you go into the white-collar world, people that make money, they'll judge you. Which restaurant you go to, which country clubs you're a member of, which firm you work for. They certainly will judge you. Who did you date? How long are you married? Do you have a girlfriend on the side? They'll judge you for all types of things. But for sure, they will judge you. Everyone judges. Why? That's mankind. That's people. If you go into upper echelon, you're in the 10, 20, 30 million category. You have a new level of judgment. Where's your vacation house? Where do you vacation otherwise? How many skeletons are in your closet? Do you have a private jet or do you rent one? Are you going to go to the U.S. Open, or are you going to prefer to go to some other major event? Were you invited to one of these red carpet events, or are you one of these people that's more of a recluse, or you're simply nobody knows who you are? Who do you work for? Does anybody work for you? All of this gets judged. Do you know how to ride a horse? Do you know how to play golf? Surely they're going to judge you. In fact, how do you eat? That will also be judged. Why would anybody care how you eat? Because they'll simply know how to categorize you, whether you're new money or old money. If you know how to eat, then you perhaps may be old money. If you don't know how to eat, then you simply eat like the vast majority of people eat. They'll look at you like you're an animal, even if you have $100 million in the bank. All of people judge. So don't start screaming to us Jewish people and Jewish community, why are you so judgmental? Everyone judges. But the worst thing of all is that when you turn what everybody else does into something that you only attack the Jewish people for, in order to justify your war against God, where you say, no, people are judgmental because of the way I dress. People are judgmental because I don't keep Shabbat. People are judgmental because I like to curse. People are judgmental because of ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. Well, guess what? People are judgmental. But they're also judgmental in your neck of the woods, even when you're in the casino. They're also judgmental in your neck of the woods, even when you're cheating on your wife. Everyone's judgmental. But the worst part of it all is that you're denying it. You're justifying it. And you're forgetting that the ultimate judge, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he's judging you. And his judgment is not superficial judgment. He's not judging you based on your clothes, per se. He doesn't care whether you wear a tie or you wear a sweatshirt. That he doesn't care about, but he does care about modesty. He doesn't care about whether you go to synagogue at 6 o'clock in the morning or at 6:30 in the morning, but he certainly cares if you pray. He doesn't care about whether you like burgers or you like French fries, but he certainly cares if you eat kosher or not. He doesn't care about whether you're in a jewelry business or you're a teacher. He cares about whether you do business honestly. He doesn't care about whether you like to learn Gemara or you like to learn Chumash. He just wants to make sure that you learn Torah. He doesn't care about which is your favorite mitzvah. He just wants to make sure that you keep all of them, whether you like them or you dislike them, understand them or don't understand them. He doesn't care who your favorite rabbi is, as long as it's a legitimate rabbi and you listen to everything he says. He doesn't care if you lend money, but he does care if you actually charge interest. If you charge interest, you have a serious problem. You see, there's a whole lot of things that you can do, but there's a kosher way to do it. You choose to do things not kosher. You choose to redefine God's laws. And that's your problem. And therefore, the Mishnah in Masechet Avot, chapter 4, Mishnah number 15, Rabbi Elazar ben Shamua says, let the honor of your student be as dear to you as your own, the honor of your colleague as the reverence for your teacher, and the reverence of your teacher, your rabbi, is the reverence for HaShem. You see, everyone can understand that you have to respect your students. You can't just insult them, mock them. Everyone understands that. But what people forget is that you also have to respect your rabbi. When you start mocking rabbis, real rabbis, Talmidei Chachamim, you're not just mocking the rabbi, you're mocking God. Because God tells us, they are my representatives. When you mock them, when you categorize them, and in so many words, turn them into monsters in the eyes of whoever is listening to you, then what you're doing is you're mocking God and his entire system of Torah. While you were supposed to have reverence of the rabbi, just like you fear God because they're his messengers, you did the exact opposite. You did the exact opposite. And this is one of the mistakes that people have when they have these podcasts and they talk about all of the things they don't like about the Torah. And that's why Rabbi Yonai says in the Mishnah in Masechet Avot in chapter 4, Mishnah number 19, it's not in our power to explain either the tranquility of the wicked or the suffering of the righteous. You see, many people are going to look at you and they see, wow, look, this guy's wicked. He goes against the Torah. He goes against the Torah and God's not punishing him. Or you see a righteous person struggling to make ends meet. The sages teach us, don't try to explain it with your own rationale because you only know a small part of the picture. But you could be assured that just like God promised to punish the wicked, he will punish you. And just like he rewarded the righteous, he will reward the righteous. And if a person says, yeah, but I heard from Menace the Menace that I didn't ask to be born. Therefore, the Mishnah at the end of chapter 4 says the follows. For against your will you were created, and against your will you were born. Against your will you will live, and against your will you will die. And against your will you are destined to give an account before the King who rules over kings, the Holy One, blessed is he. You didn't ask to be born? Who cares? God decided you're going to be here. Now you have to serve him. Why? Because you want to stay alive. Because you want to stay alive and you benefit from living. Now, a person that thinks, nah, come on, this is extreme. This doesn't happen. Let me tell you a story before we take the questions, because the story is going to put things into perspective for all of us. Of what does God really care about? You see, we see that he cares about the blasphemer. So you say, listen, okay, I don't mean to blaspheme God. I'm not going to curse. I'm not going to this. I'm not going to that. But come on, these other laws, maybe they're extreme. Really, God cares about my tattoo? Really, God cares about shatnez? Really, God cares about brit? Well, apparently he does. And even though Rabbi Nachman in Breslov already wrote in Sichot Aran that when the time comes for the Mashiach to come, people will cry out about emunah, but the reality is that it will be a very difficult time for people because most people will not know what emunah really is. They'll think that emunah is simply believing that a God is going to help you regardless of whether you follow him or not. And at that time, says Rabbi Nachman of Breslov, many people who call themselves religious leaders will preach lies. And he says righteous people that gather together, that are thirsting for the word of God, will barely exist. There will be some truly religious individuals, but they will be very few and far in between. You see, Rabotai, many people get confused because they have the wrong teachers. Many people get confused because they make themselves into a teacher. And they rationalize things that maybe this is not a big deal, maybe this is not a big deal. Well, you don't need to look so far. Gemara, Masechet Sanhedrin, will give us a story. A story that perhaps some of you have heard it, but maybe not the details. On page 103. In Masechet Sanhedrin, the Gemara says there were a bunch of wicked people, not just today, also in the past. Bunch of people that lost their share of the world to come. And then there was a person, a king, a Jewish king, named Yoyakim. And he was also wicked. And the Gemara says, he angered God. He blasphemed his name, saying, do we need God for anything? In so many words, God needs me. I don't need him. And of course, he got punished. But when you look at the punishment that he got, we see that there's something to learn from the words. Nebuchadnezzar, who ruled over the world, made a trip to Israel and saying, Yoyakim the king, hand him over to me. Hand him over to me. They asked him, why, is it time to destroy Jerusalem? Time to destroy the Beit HaMikdash has come? Like, no. I just came to collect the king. I heard he's going against me, so hand him over to me or I'm going to kill all of you. And Nebuchadnezzar killed him in the most horrific way. Most horrific way he killed him. But why? The Gemara says, based which one of the sins that Yoyakim did really was the reason why he got the punishment in this world. We already know what he's getting in the next world. But here, he got an awful death. Why? Says Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Elazar have a dispute. They don't have a dispute of what he did, but in so many words, how he did it. What they dispute, say, you know what really upset God? Yeah, we know he was a blasphemer. Yeah, we know he was an immoral person, married his own mother, his sister. He's an awful, disgusting person. But you know what really caused HaShem to use that specific punishment that Nebuchadnezzar gave him? He got a tattoo. What? He got a tattoo. He tattooed his body. And the Torah says in last week's Parashat Kedoshim, you're not allowed to get a tattoo. As a Jew, there's no permission whatsoever to get a tattoo. But he not only got a tattoo, but he got a tattoo of idolatry. He got a yoshke. But one of the things says, no, he got a tattoo, but he got a tattoo of the name of God. But he put it on his brit. Just to show how much he hates God. Either way, it was a tattoo. Now, many people say, oh, really, God cares about a tattoo? You tell me once you know. more details. Midrash, Rabbah, Parashat Metzorah, Parasha 19, Yutet, says as follows. With all of the abominations of Yoyakim that he committed and that were discovered against him, what were the ones that brought the punishment that he got in this world? And they debate. Tattoo. Some say, no, it was simply because he wore shatnez. What? Shatnez? Yeah, shatnez. He wore shatnez. He got a tattoo. He wasted seed. All types of things we've mentioned in our lectures. Now people say, yeah, but this is not Once you understand what happened to him, perhaps it will change. What happened to him, really? After Nebuchadnezzar came to Yerushalayim, he says, bring him to me, I came to collect him. And what did Nebuchadnezzar do? What did Nebuchadnezzar do to Yoyakim? What did he do? The Midrash says Nebuchadnezzar took a donkey, he killed the donkey, he opened up the donkey's belly, and then he took Yoyakim and he cut him into little pieces the size of an olive and put all of the little pieces inside the donkey and closed it and then left it. Says he gets what the prophet says, the burial of a donkey. What's a burial of a donkey? I'll put him inside a donkey. Some Chachamim say, no, perhaps he cut him into pieces and then he gave him the burial of a donkey, meaning that the dogs ate him, because the dogs eat the dead donkeys. Either way, he cut him into little pieces. For what? For wearing shatnez, for wasting seed, for putting a tattoo on. You know, all the same things that the heretics do or allow other people to do because they want to change the Torah. All the things people think are not a big deal. This is a part of the Tanakh. This is not a fairy tale. This you could look at in the book of Chronicles. This you could look at in the Gemara. This you could look at in the Midrash. This you could look at in the Zohar. This you could look at across the spectrum of the Torah. The many things that people think are not a big deal, and why does God care about this, and why does God care about that? You're forgetting. He's the King of Kings, and he does not owe you an explanation. But you owe him one. So for all of those fools that choose to change the Torah or reject the Torah and publicize their stupidity to the world, know this. You are currently enemies of God. And if you stay that way, the end of Yoyakim will look pretty in comparison to your end, unless you do tshuva. And I know that many of you don't like to hear this, and perhaps even shut the lecture off in the middle before you came back to it because you really want to see what happens in the end. I highly recommend you do tshuva for the small stuff and the big stuff. Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu, as we say every Wednesday, El Nekamot Hashem, El Nekamot Ofia. God is the God of vengeance. The God of vengeance has arrived. And yes, this is to scare you. That's the intention, because it's the only thing that's going to get you to stop the foolishness that you've been publicizing for some time now. And since nobody else is going to do it, I figured I'd take the liberty and help you out. Only because I love you. Since you're a Jew, so long as you're in this world, I have a responsibility to help you. But as long as you be the way you are, as much as I love you, you're still my enemy. Once you change, you do tshuva, I love you no different than I love my own biological kids. BeEzrat HaShem, you succeed. And with that being said, Rabotai, now you could ask some questions. What if you're getting a tattoo of a Star of David? Well, we just heard Yoakim got a tattoo of the name of God. And that is obviously, in the perspective of people, is holy. But in the perspective of God, is not only unholy, but is also a desecration of God's name. So Jews are forbidden from getting tattoos. Non-Jews, on the other hand, there's no prohibition of getting tattoos. Let's see. Can you do a live reading of a chapter? No. That's not my thing. Did Moshe argue with God? Not argument like you would think argument, but Moshe wanted to serve God and in the ultimate way, and was willing to sacrifice his life for the sake of God, for the sake of God's children. And therefore, when God threatened to destroy the Jewish people, Moshe, in essence, argued in favor of the children of God and said, if you're going to destroy them, then destroy me first. And the fact that he loved God's children so much made God love him. Because in essence, if you want to show somebody that you really love them, show how much you love their kids. Because parents love their kids, and if you love their kids, that also shows that you love them too. The other time that it's mentioned that there was the debate between the two is when it was time for God to take the neshama of Moshe Rabbeinu and bring it to Gan Eden. The neshama, the soul of Moshe Rabbeinu, did not want to leave his body. He says, well, here I could serve you. There I can't serve you. It's just the time to reap the reward. Here, I've sanctified the body to such an extent that the body and the soul are in the same level. Why should I leave such a good vessel, such a holy vessel that's serving you, and go just to reap the reward? I want to serve you. So in essence, Moshe Rabbeinu did not want to die. Not because he wanted to enjoy this world, but rather because he wanted to serve God even more. So if you call that arguments, may we all merit to have such arguments. If you donate to help people stop wasting seed, will God help you eventually stop wasting seed? Yes, the Kadosh Baruch Hu judges the world measure for measure. And one of the tools that we learned from the prophet Yechezkel, that he says, don't let your past deeds be your stumbling block. Where in Du Tshuva, Yechezkel, Ezekiel, the prophet, tells us that the sins that a person made in the past can certainly be his stumbling block in the future of doing tshuva, because he got used to wasting seed, he got used to making certain sins, and he's gotten physically addicted to it or mentally addicted to it. So certainly a person must do tshuva. And one of the great tools that a person can help themselves do tshuva is by helping others. Because God judges measure for measure, when you help God's children do tshuva, when you help God's children get closer to Him, learn more Torah, God will help you do the same thing. And this is the reason why people that honor the Torah end up, the sages say, if you honor the Torah, you honor Torah scholars, your children will be Torah scholars. If you mock Torah scholars, your kids will abandon the Torah or be the enemies of scholars. If you help people do tshuva, certainly God is going to help you do tshuva as well. But a person needs to obviously do the best they can by helping themselves. They can't simply think that if I donate, then I don't have to exert any effort. No, you still have to do the best you can, protecting your eyes, not put yourself in harm's way, not go to a mixed gym or a beach where there's all types of immorality. You can't put yourself in harm's way and expect God to save you from that. You can't jump off of a bridge and say, God, catch me. It doesn't work that way. But as long as you help yourself, then certainly God will help you. As the Gemara in Masechet Moed Katan says, the Abali Ta'er Mesayin Be'ado, somebody that comes to be purified, God helps him become purified. And actually donating to help other people do tshuva. And of course, donating means you're using money to buy more USBs or CDs or lectures that are going to teach specifically about that topic so other people could do tshuva for it. Whether it's to our organization on tikkunabrit.live, or it's other rabbis that teach about this topic, mostly in Hebrew, because in English, unfortunately, we're pretty much the only ones that teach it, at least on a consistent basis, in an open platform without sugarcoating things and really tell you guys what it actually says. If you do that, then certainly you're helping yourself more than anything else. And I've seen success, the biggest success, in overcoming addiction to immorality by people that actually became addicted to helping other people do tshuva, by donating, by sharing the lectures, by sharing the USBs. The more a person was dedicated to helping other people do tshuva for this issue, the more successful they were in their own tshuva. And the Zohar Kadosh says that when a person protects their brit, they're also going to have an easier time keeping Shabbat. When they keep Shabbat the proper way, they're also going to have an easier time protecting their brit, because each one empowers the other. But it just empowers. It doesn't do the whole job for you. You still have to help yourself. You just have to help yourself. Let's see. Does the rabbi respond? Yes, the rabbi is responding. It's just that, Baruch Hashem, I have hundreds of questions right now, so I can't see every single thing. Just tell them about Yalkut Yosef in English. Yes, Yalkut Yosef is a fantastic halachic books by Rabbi Yosef based on the Psak Halacha of Rav Ovadia Yosef. And even though it's generally catered for the Sephardi community, anyone that has delved into it or completed it knows that Rabbi Yosef also included many times the Psak Halacha of the Ashkenazim, our brothers. So either way, if you're a Sephardi Jew that your main language is English, I would say Yalkut Yosef is priority number one in your life. If you want to know how to live a Jewish life as far as what the laws are, how to apply them to your life, whether it's Hilchot Shabbat, or the holidays, or blessings, or tefillin, or really anything else. In English, they haven't translated the entire collection of Yalkut Yosef. I believe the entire collection in Hebrew of Yalkut Yosef is close to 40 books, maybe 35 books, whereas in English they've only translated so far, I believe, 18 or 19 of the books, but still it's more than enough, and it'll take time for you to complete it, and it's certainly a prerequisite if you want to know how to live according to halacha. As a Ashkenazi Jew, certainly you have other options. But for Sephardi Jews, that your dominant language is English, certainly Yalkut Yosef is the main halachic book that you should focus on. What were the Jews called before the invention of J? Well, the Jews were called Yehudim before the letter J because Hebrew preceded the entire language of English. The Torah was written in Hebrew, and the Jews spoke Hebrew. And in fact, for the first more than 10 generations, the entire world spoke Hebrew. So as far as the whole conspiracy and argument of the Hebrew Israelites and other enemies of the Torah about, the Jew, there was no letter J. Who cares about the letter J? English is a man-made language that wasn't created until recent history. There wasn't, at the time of Mount Sinai, there was no English. Nobody spoke English. There was no America. There was no England. So no one really cares about J or the English language as far as how you guys arrive at your conclusions. And for those that that's not enough to explain to them, you should know that English is not even the number one spoken language in the world. There are many more people that speak Spanish than people that speak English. So while you and your group are mostly illiterate and cannot even speak your own language of English, the vast majority of the world is literate in their own languages, whether it be French or Spanish or other languages that are based off of Latin. Either way, Hebrew preceded all of them. And that's what Jews are called. They're called Yehudim. Are there any good Smicha programs that you would recommend? It depends what you're looking for. Depends how you want to use your Smicha. If you want to be a shul rabbi or you simply want to gain knowledge. If you want to be a public speaker or if you want to be a shochet. It depends really on where, what you want to do with the Smicha. If you simply want to be educated, you don't necessarily need to go for a Smicha program. You could simply go to a kollel or bet midrash and learn with a Talmid Chacham and a group of different Talmidei Chachamim, different subjects, and dedicate as much time as possible to it every single day. And over the next several decades, you'll little by little gain more and more knowledge, and you could even become a Talmid Chacham. You don't necessarily need a smicha to become a Talmid Chacham. Some of the greatest minds in recent history did not have the smicha that many people hold so dearly. Now again, this does not mean that a smicha is not important. It does have certain value for certain things, but only if you use it for that. But if a person is just going to get a smicha, but still continue to be, I don't know, in the investment banking business, or a lawyer, or in construction business, or a plumber, or something like that, then getting the smicha was really served no value to you. You could have gained the same amount of knowledge without gaining the smicha. There are some programs that offer structured learning that I've heard good things about, but I don't know them firsthand. Enough to say, oh, this is something that I would recommend. There are some things that I've heard good things about, but those things change also. They can start good and change. So again, it's not such a simple thing to recommend, because what they do may not be relevant to what you want to do. Many times people they want or they think they need a smicha because they want to be somebody that teaches the public Torah. You don't need a smicha to teach the public Torah. You just need Torah knowledge, and you need to have a rabbi that will guide you, and you need to have yirat shamayim, and you need to know what you're talking about. Once you have those few tools, you're already in the right direction. But a smicha is not an absolute necessity. Would it help? Potentially, not necessarily. It's not something that's a absolute must. But if you're going to be, somebody that's going to actually use certain parts of the smicha for a profession or something like that, then that's a different story. Then again, it doesn't matter which smicha program, because there are certain things. Like for example, if you want to be a shul rabbi, you don't need to get something so complicated and so sophisticated. But if you're going to be let's say somebody that's going to tell people whether the tarat mishpacha, when a woman gives you the bdika cloth and tells you, is this blood from the inside of the body or is this blood from a wound, and you're going to have the expertise to do that, that's going to take 10 plus years to learn. It's not something that you're going to learn in a course online. This is something that you have to have a lot of prerequisite knowledge before you eventually learn that, and you have to go to world experts Now, even after you know that, if you want to be someone that could even go further when it comes to psak halacha, in regards to family purity, in regards to those things, then you have to learn even further, and you have to go to even higher level experts. So again, it depends what you're learning and why you're learning it and how you're going to utilize it. A smicha is not like a college what is it called? College degree. It's something completely different. What are some books that people should read in order to understand Jewish law? Again, it's a very open-ended question. What is the goal of understanding Jewish law? Is understanding Jewish law because they are Jewish and they want to understand what to do? Or is understanding Jewish law because they want to convert to Judaism? Or they are a non-Jew that is simply interested for intellectual purposes in Jewish law, or they are a scorner and they're looking to mock Judaism, and therefore they're looking for things to mock. So again, there are different possibilities. These questions have to be a little bit more precise as far as what is the intention of what, why you're learning. If you are looking to learn for the sake of, you're a Jew that wants to learn Jewish law. If you're a Sephardi Jew and your dominant language is English, like I said, Yalkut Yosef is a very good collection of books that will teach you how to live in your day-to-day life. If your first language is Hebrew, then there is Yalkut Yosef, there's Yabia Omer, there is a whole lot more choices in Hebrew, but nonetheless, there is if you're a Sephardi Jew, there's in so many words, whatever Rabbi Vadia wrote, depending on your level of knowledge, that's what you read. If you are Ashkenazi, then you're going to go more into Chafetz Chaim, you're going to go into the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. That's the world you're going to go into for learning the law. Now, if you are looking to convert to Judaism, everything that I just said until now is too high for you. You're not there yet. What you need to learn is the very basics, which are discussed in my guide to conversion guide that it tells you the basics that you need to learn in order to convert. Meaning, you don't need to know as much as what a Jew is supposed to know. You need to know just enough to become a Jew, and then learn more once you become a Jew. So you need to know the basic laws of Shabbat, the 39 melachot, the 13 principles of faith, the blessings on different things that you would eat or different things that you would do, such as going to the bathroom, things like that. You need to know things, much simpler things, which also a natural-born Jew also needs to know, but usually they already know that. Unless they're new to doing tshuva, and they would actually have to learn the same exact things as a convert would have to learn. Somebody that's looking to convert and somebody that's doing tshuva have to know is the same exact thing, which is the basics of Judaism, which is something that you would teach children if they're, raised in a religious house. If somebody was raised not religious, like myself, I wasn't raised religious, therefore I had to learn all of these things later on in my life when I started doing tshuva, and I had to learn from the basics and little by little build on that. So if somebody is looking to convert or do tshuva, they have to learn the basics. If somebody is already religious but wants to build on, then they would learn the things I said before, like Yalkut Yosef or the Mishnah Brura or the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. If they are even a Torah scholar, they're probably not even asking this question, but they would be learning something more like the Shulchan Aruch, the Ramah, and so on. Now, if they are a scorner, then they shouldn't learn anything, because whatever they learn for the sake of making fun of the Torah is simply going to bring them more horrors in their life, more punishment in their life, and it's better for them to use their time in a different way. So with that being said, we answered, I believe, all few choices. If someone has in the past pornography, but they do tshuva and still have intrusive images or in dreams, is that a punishment or a sign that it's not real tshuva? No. It's simply a sign that you have brought a lot of junk into your mind. and you have not brought enough Torah to remove it. As the Rambam says, the thoughts of immorality and all types of inappropriate things only come to an empty mind of Torah. Meaning you may have expertise and knowledge about architecture, about history, about mathematics, about engineering, about physics, and even a little bit about Torah. But the only thing that is going to remove all of that immorality is when you have a whole lot more Torah in your mind, because that's going to put all of those inappropriate thoughts so far back in the back of your mind that it's almost going to be non-existent. And eventually, it could even be eliminated. So certainly, it is good that you're doing tshuva, and it's certainly something you should continue doing. And don't get discouraged by the fact that you still have inappropriate thoughts and inappropriate desires. But know that you need to do more, learn more Torah, especially. Why the rabbis write the Babylonian Talmud? Why the rabbis who wrote the Talmud in Babylon influenced much by the Babylonian way of life, instead of being steadfast and remain loyal to the words of God? Obviously, you've never learned the Babylonian Talmud. The Talmud Bavli is how we call it. And all you've done is probably watch a few videos online by non-Jews or by heretics, or you simply read, all types of foolishness by people who have never actually studied the Babylonian Talmud. Because had you learned the Babylonian Talmud, you would know that all 7 levels of wisdom that exist in the world are in the Babylonian Talmud, and the sages that are mentioned in the Talmud were so holy that the Gemara in Masechet Avodah Zarah, the Talmud in Tractate Avodah Zarah, says that anyone that's mentioned by name in the Talmud means that they were so holy that they were able to resurrect the dead with their prayers and their blessings. So, and this actually happened multiple times. By Rabbi Yehuda Nasi did it, Rabbi Yochanan did it, a few others did it as well. Literally, somebody died and they brought him back to life. So, the holiness of the sages in the Talmud is not known to the heretics and the scorners and the idolaters and those that like to simply go against the Talmud. What they do know is little excerpts that professional anti-Semites took, manipulated, and magnified, and mistranslated intentionally for the sake of creating pogroms, blood libels, and all types of horrible things for the Jewish people. And what you did is simply borrow from them. If you want to learn Judaism, you have to learn from the Jewish people that are loyal to Judaism, that are loyal to the Torah, not to people that are enemies of the Torah. Just like if you want to learn medicine, you learn from the best doctors in the world. You can't learn from plumbers. You can't learn from somebody that knows how to fix a tire. And that's all he knows how to fix. You want to learn medicine, you have to go to experts in the field of medicine. You want to learn law, you have to go to the experts in the field of law. So you can't learn Torah from imbeciles and enemies of the Torah. You have to learn from experts, Torah scholars, and you have to understand that it's going to take many, many years for you to ever get to a point where you have somewhat of an understanding of the magnitude of Torah. But certainly you'll be in the right direction from day one. But to go and assume that something is what it is when you haven't even read the subject, it's like me going to a doctor and telling him, I don't agree with your procedure that you're doing on this patient, and not only do I not know what the patient's diagnosis is, but I don't actually know anything about medicine. But yet, I decide that what the doctor is doing is wrong because it looks like it hurts to me. This, obviously, is foolish. And it's unfortunately what a lot of people do when it comes to the Torah. They come and criticize parts of the Torah without even knowing what they're talking about. So, first, learn the basics, learn Torah, understand that you cannot criticize any part of the Talmud until you even understand what the Talmud is. And to understand the Talmud is going to take time. It's going to take time. You have to go through the Talmud once and twice and more, and little by little, you'll grow to a point where you'll appreciate what it is. Not because I said it, just simply because once you understand and you delve into it and you understand what's in it. Yes, the Talmud is also the Gemara. It's a synonymous. Your mother was born Catholic and converted to Judaism, and your father is Jewish his whole life. Are you truly Jewish? That all depends. That depends. Number one, if she converted before you were born. Now, if she converted after you were born, then you would have had to convert as well in order to be Jewish. But if she converted before you were born, then it all depends on what kind of conversion she made. If she made an Orthodox conversion and she kept the mitzvot, then certainly you are Jewish. But if she converted conservative or reform or reconstructorist or messianic or all types of other fake versions of Judaism, then certainly not only are you not Jewish, but she's also not Jewish. So again, there's authentic and then there's the fake. There are glasses that you can buy for $500, and then there are glasses that look like it's the same, but you can buy them for $5. Why? Because this one is the authentic, real version from the manufacturer, and this one is a fake version that they make in China, and it's $5. There is the medicine that really works and can save your life, that will cost $100, and then there is the fake one that was made by a bunch of different poisonous chemicals that some crazy person decided to make and stamp on it the same label, and he wants to sell it to you for $10. Now, one can cure you and save your life, and the other one for sure will kill you. Why? One is real, one is fake. Simple. Same thing with Torah and Judaism. There's the real version, which is Orthodox Judaism, and then there is everything else. The conservative, reform, messianic, reconstructorist, all types of heretical forms of belief systems that all have one common denominator, which is they all reject the Torah at face value, meaning they all do not accept the Torah for what it has been and what it is for the last 3,300 years. They all take parts out of it that they don't like and simply replace it with their own thing. So they don't like Shabbat, so you no longer have to keep Shabbat. They don't like that a Jew has to marry a Jew, so from now on, they say that you're allowed to marry whoever you want, even if what you want to marry is a statue, or you want to marry your cat. They'll allow you that too. They don't care. So again, if you're going to be with the real version has certain rules that haven't changed for the last few thousand years. The fake version, many of them are slowly but surely eliminating all the rules, except giving charity, because that rule they like. They like to force people to give charity. I wonder why. Are these lectures on YouTube? Yes, Baruch Hashem, my lectures are all on YouTube. If you go and you type up Rabbi Yaron Reuven, you'll see my channel over there. I have an English channel, Spanish, German, Portuguese. BeEzrat Hashem soon we'll have a Chinese channel. And I believe we have about 14 or 15 different languages. But the English channel is, Baruch Hashem, the most established. There are thousands of lectures there, which will include this one. This lecture will go on the YouTube channel by tomorrow, BeEzrat Hashem. By tomorrow. But right now, you're watching it either on TikTok or on YouTube Live. Sometimes we have it on Facebook Live. Recently, we got blocked by Facebook, so we're going to go back to Facebook Live probably in a couple of weeks once they remove the handcuffs. We also have an app, a BeEzrat Hashem app. You could download my app and watch the live lectures there and all the old lectures too. And also you have a website called bh.live, where you can watch the live lectures there. Now, if you want to watch all of the lectures, not just the live ones, you can go to the YouTube channel, or you can go to bhtorah.org. B as in BeEzrat, H as in HaShem, Torah is TORAH.org. And you can watch many of our lectures, or you can download our app, and you'll be able to have literally thousands and thousands of lectures we've done over the last decade or so that really encompass every subject that people are interested in and need to know about. And BeEzrat Hashem, soon we will have some more stuff that we've been working on for many, many months, which is going to have a certain couple of different things that will offer you guys both video and audio questions and answers on demand, 24 hours a day type of thing. So that's coming soon, BeEzrat Hashem. We'll talk more about it very soon once we are just about to launch it, which BeEzrat Hashem is going to be very, very soon. Pray for us to succeed, BeEzrat Hashem. Thank you for the blessings. I appreciate it. What are your thoughts on Zionism? I have an entire series called Era of MaShiach, which is based on the book from Rav Elchanan Wasserman. And that series not only discusses the times before the Holocaust, but in there it includes the Zionism, and the truth behind the founders of Zionism, Zionistic beliefs, and we hold no punches. So you can watch that series. It's only about 40 different lectures. It'll give you a complete understanding of what Zionism is and what our perspective is. In so many words, to be a religious Jew and Zionistic is not possible because the two are antithetical to each other. Zionism is not here to be a part of Judaism, but rather to destroy Judaism. Now, many people today redefine Zionism to be different than what the original plan was. But the truth is that the original falsehood always shows its ugly face. Meaning that even those that say that there's a religious version of Zionism today, unfortunately, many of the so-called religious Zionists, some of them may mean well, but the foundational principles of Zionism many times are contrary to Torah Judaism. So it's not something that somebody could just easily agree with. Now again, the original Zionism and Zionism as a whole, generally speaking, is evil and is against the Torah. There is certain segments of it that are less evil, I would say, and and there are some people within it that actually mean well and are good people. But the overall rules, beliefs, ideology of Zionism is very different. Now, if you are a Jew, everything I just said is relevant to you. If you are an anti-Semite, then everything I just said is not relevant to you. Why? Because to you, you're just looking to hate Jews and justify your hatred. And your hatred of Jews has nothing to do with Zionism. You just simply hate Jews. And you hate everything about Jews. So whether it was Zionism or it was religious Jews, or it was a secular, or it doesn't matter. You hate for the sake of hating. Why? Because you're an anti-Semite. But if it's somebody that's Jewish and simply is trying to get educated about what Zionism really is, and why there are many of the biggest rabbis in recent history are the enemies of Zionism, then the reason is behind what I'm telling you. That series that I mentioned, Era of MaShiach by Rav Elchanan Wasserman, is going to explain all of that. It'll bring a lot of evidence, documentation, and so on. Where can I find the series? You can go to my YouTube, Rabbi Yaron Reuven. Go to the playlist. On the playlist, there are different playlists of lectures, and one of them is called Era of MaShiach. And it has 40 lectures in there, and you'll see it there. There's 40 different lectures, and each one is building on the previous one. What's the difference between a Jew and an Israelite and a Hebrew? Okay, so again, these questions are depending who's asking. Now, if you are a Jew or someone that loves the Jewish people and you're simply trying to educate yourself, there is one answer. If you are an enemy of the Jews and claim that you are the real Jew, then the answer is different. And for the sake of just doing it at least once, I'll do this. I'll explain to you. If you're a Jew or a lover of the Jews and you're looking for the truth of what it actually means, Hebrews are what were the Avraham Avinu was called. Abraham was a Hebrew. Why was he called a Hebrew? Because he was a monotheist. He was the only one that believed in God, and everyone else was an idol worshiper. So he was in one ever, one side, and the rest of the world were idol worshippers. Okay? Now, Avraham had a son who was Yitzchak, and Yitzchak had a son who was Yaakov. Yaakov was renamed by God to also have the name Israel. So, and all of his children and descendants were called Israelites. Why? Because his name was Israel, and therefore his children are called Israelites. Now, this continued until we got to Mount Sinai. Once we got to Mount Sinai, meaning until then, we were originally Hebrews. At the time of Avraham, at the time of Yitzchak, we were Hebrews. Then, at the time of Yaakov, the grandson of Avraham, now it changed to Israelites. Same exact people, just we've progressed. Now we have, in essence, a new name, a new brand for the chosen people, a new brand for the people that are serving God and following His Torah. But then when we got to Mount Sinai, once we got to Mount Sinai, that's when we officially became a people. That's when we became officially a people. That's when Judaism began. Why? Because we accepted the Torah. Until then, we had the tradition of a Torah, but we weren't obligated by all of the rules of the Torah until Mount Sinai. Weren't obligated by all the rules of the Torah. But once we got to Mount Sinai and we accepted the Torah, now we had a new set of rules, and from there, that's where Judaism began. So, Judaism starts at Mount Sinai, when Moses gets the Torah from HaShem and gives it to all of Am Yisrael. That's when Judaism begins. And the first time that the word Jew appears in the Tanakh is in the book of Esther, where Mordechai, he's called Mordechai the Jew. Mordechai the Jew. Obviously, it doesn't say Jew in English. It says Mordechai Yehudi. Yehudi is a Hebrew word, which means Jew. So, in essence, all of the Hebrews, the Israelites, and the Jews are all referring to the same group of people, just in the progress of time and obligation to the Torah. Now, if a person is a Jew or a lover of the Jews, this is sufficient, this is more than enough. If a person is not a Jew, but believes they're a Jew, and in fact they are the so-called true Jews, like the Hebrew Israelites believe that they are, then nothing will suffice other than simply explaining to you that you're wrong, and everything you've been taught is wrong, heretical, man-made, foolish, and the reality is that you are being sold a bag of tricks by a bunch of leaders that are just simply sucking you dry of every ounce of energy and money that you have in order to enrich themselves by, in so many words, enslaving you all over again into a new ideology that will make you feel like you are being empowered by some false belief that someone stole your power, someone stole your truth. The reality is, Judaism is determined by the Torah. Before Mount Sinai, we were Hebrews and Israelites. Judaism began at Mount Sinai as a result of us accepting the Torah. And all of Am Yisrael had to do the same procedure that somebody that converts to Judaism would have to do today. They had to have a circumcision, they had to accept the Torah laws, and in those days where sacrifice was still permissible, each one of them had to bring a sacrifice. Now, anyone that converts today, if he's a male, he has to have circumcision, he has to accept all of the laws of the Torah, both the written and the oral Torah. Sacrifice, they don't do now, but they will have to do it once the Moshiach comes. Okay, meaning it's not canceled, it's just delayed. Now, the Hebrew Israelites, they follow the New Testament. They believe in Jesus, which is an enemy of the Jewish people, which caused more death to Jewish people than anybody else in history, because obviously the church that has turned the Jews into the enemy wrote in the New Testament that the Jews are the children of Satan, they're the enemies, and so on and so forth. So the point is that the Hebrew Israelites are generally Christians that don't want to be Christians anymore. They want to be Jews or Israelites or Hebrews. It depends which part of the cult they're part of, because even within the Hebrew Israelite so-called movement, they're enemies of each other. And they have different beliefs of each other because it's all man-made. So his opinion is this, his opinion is that. His opinion is to dress like they came out of a Mortal Kombat video game. The other guy's message is to look like rappers and look like people that are part of a rap video. The other guy wants to look like he just came out of Egypt. You know, every one of them it's all man-made. So it gets customized and recustomized every week from week to week. From week to week, it changes. Why? Because it's all man-made. Something that's divine does not change. The Jewish people have been the same exact people since Mount Sinai. We welcome anyone that wants to convert to Judaism. If they want to be a Jew and follow the law, we welcome them. How? They have to follow the Torah, which is they have to convert to Judaism through the process that the Torah says. But if they simply just want to call themselves Hebrews, Israelites, Jews, or they could call themselves Pikachu, they call themselves Mortal Kombat, they could call themselves Megatron, they call themselves whatever they want. But in reality, they're just lying to themselves or being lied to. And unfortunately, it's working because millions and millions of people are being fooled. And the ultimate evil comes from the leaders that are taking advantage of people's ignorance and yearning for some type of hope, and their hope is that perhaps if they are given back what was stolen from them, which they don't even know what was stolen from them, but they call it their identity. How could somebody steal your identity? I'm not sure. I mean, you can go to the Department of Motor Vehicles and just get yourself a new identity. It probably costs like $30-$40, but you could probably get a new one. If you're talking about your Jewish identity, if you're really Jewish, no one can take your identity. That's who you are. Even if somebody calls you not Jewish or somebody calls you a lion, that wouldn't change anything. Like if you called me a monkey or you called me a lion or you called me whatever you called me, that wouldn't change my status. Why? I am what I am. The fact that your leaders are telling you that someone stole your identity is just simply to put some type of spiritual poison in your mind to make you feel like you are a victim, but use that victimhood ideology in order to empower you to categorize the enemy. And therefore, that's it. Now you have the motivation. Motivation to hate. This is no different than any other type of anti-Semitism. This is no different than Nazi Germany. This is no different than how white people hate black people, and how the Pakistanis hate the Hindus, and the Hindus hate the Pakistanis. And this is the same thing as the hatred between any other thing. Only this time it is hating the wrong people. You're hating the people that God says, these are my firstborn children. These are my chosen people. You're hating them. And unfortunately, God says, those who curse you, I will curse them. Those who bless you, I will bless them. So unless you're blind, you're probably not seeing any blessings. Not in your community, not in your neighborhood, not in your life, so long as you hate. Who are those that are seeing blessings? Only those that love the Jews. Only those that love the Jews. Why? And I'm not talking about just any Jew. I'm talking about Jews that are following the Torah. Following the Torah. So if you are the first, then you have an answer. If you are the latter, you also have the answer. Is there a book to learn the basics that you recommend? Not necessarily one book that will teach you everything, but there are some books that give you some basics. There is a book by my dear friend Rabbi Golan that's called Welcome to Judaism, that gives you just a basic understanding of some of the things that you need to know about Judaism. There is again, there's so many different sets of laws that a person would need to learn. So each one of them has different books. So there's books about blessings. There's books about prayer. There's books about learning. There's different type of learning. So if you'd like, you could send us an email to our website or info at BeEzratHashem.org, and we could send you one of the conversion Noahide guides. It's both for somebody that wants to be a righteous Noahide or wants to convert to Judaism or is not sure what they want to do. That guide has a bunch of things in there that, there's also a list of book names that you could just press the name or the picture of the book and it will take you to a website that's selling it. We're not selling anything, that you could just buy it from those websites. There is different topics in there, so you could get this, or you could just go to my website, BeEzratHashem.org, go to the part that says ebooks, and over there is a that you could download the guide. You could download the guide and see all the information there, and then work your way up from there. Who is the portrait? So the one that you're looking at is that one. So that is Rabbi Ovadia Yosef. I have Rabbi Ovadia Yosef over there. I have Rav Elchanan Wasserman over there. I have my own dear Rav Ephraim over here. I have Tzion Abba Shaul over there. I have Rav Ephraim again over here. I have Nisim again over there. I have the Bet HaMikdash made from letters of Alachot over here. I have my family over there. And what else do I have? I have Adis over here. And what other pictures do we have? Ephraim over there again. I love my Rav, so he's everywhere. Baruch HaShem. And then I have more pictures in the rest of the house. These are different Torah scholars, Torah giants that we love and appreciate and learn from. And that's why we have them on the wall. We don't worship rabbis. We want to learn from them. We praise them. We appreciate them. We respect them. But worshiping, we're not allowed to worship any man. Only worship God. So when you praise rabbis, that's not the same thing as worshiping them, like people think. Worshipping them means you bring a sacrifice or you pray to that person, which we don't do. All right, let's see. The Chafetz Chaim says that one shall not speak Lashon Hara. Is it possible to speak in any way? Yes, the Chafetz Chaim wrote not to speak Lashon Hara, and there are rules of Lashon Hara. And one of the rules that many people do not know is the Chafetz Chaim says that, if the person is a heretic or any other type of person that is a threat to the public, then the rules of Lashon Hara do not apply to them. And in fact, it is a mitzvah. It is a good deed to speak against such a person. So if somebody is a heretic who distorts the Torah, or somebody is somebody that mocks the Torah, then the rules of Lashon Hara do not apply to such a person. And in fact, if what they're saying are confusing people or causing people to go against the Torah and so on, then you have an obligation to speak against them, against that heretic, in order to make sure that people do not follow them. So the laws of Lashon Hara are very vast. It's not just don't talk about anybody. There are certain people you're not allowed to talk about. There are certain people you have to talk about. There are certain people you can talk about in order to help them. There are certain people you're not allowed to talk about. So it all depends. There are the laws of Lashon Hara are very vast and take a lot of time to study and to understand. But needless to say, it's more than just not speaking about anybody else. All right. Where does the belief in Messiah originate from? It comes from the Torah. Yaakov Avinu already tells us that a Moshiach is going to come when he's blessing his children. And there are several other places where the Torah mentions that the Moshiach is going to come. David HaMelech talks about it in multiple times, and even mentions it in Tehillim, in Psalms. Uba leTzion Goel leshaveh pesha beYaakov, that the Goel, the Mashiach, will come to bring salvation to all of those that have repented, that have done tshuva. Do you believe that Judaism is the only path to God? I believe that the Torah is the only path to God if somebody follows the Torah. Now, if somebody is a Jew, then they have to follow the Torah and fulfill the obligations of the Torah for Jewish people. If somebody's a non-Jew, a Gentile, then they have to follow the Torah and apply the rules that apply to non-Jews of the Torah. So the Torah is the only path to God. Everything else is falsehood. But again, the Torah applies both to Jews and Gentiles. They just have different rules. Yes, the book of our heritage is also a very good book. It has a lot of information that's useful for people that are just starting out. What happens to the convert when he converts to Judaism? The Rambam writes that someone that converts to Judaism is on the day of their conversion, they're considered like a brand new baby, meaning they're sinless. They're sinless. All of their past sins are gone. But if they have stolen from somebody while they were not Jewish, then they still should return what they stole, because they don't want people to think, oh, look, this guy is Jewish and he stole. So even though technically what they took as a non-Jew is no longer considered a sin for them now that they are a Jew and they have a completely new soul, still they should return it so nobody will speak bad about the Torah or the Jewish people as a result of their past misdeeds. But they're considered like a brand new baby, sinless. This is one of the gifts that God gives the converts. Kol Rav, will the BeEzrat HaShem Kol Yeshiva have requirements, or can anyone join? Everything has to have some type of requirement. Everything has to have some type of rules. But it's certainly, if Hashem allows us to succeed in ever opening it and the way that we want to open it, then, certainly we are looking to do a better job than what's the so-called system is doing. But of course, it has to have rules. We can't just accept everybody. If somebody's openly a heretic or idol worshiper or something like that, we cannot just simply say, oh yeah, you could join us too. That will be forbidden. There's rules. The rules of the Torah. Whatever the rules of the Torah, that's what we're going to do. Rabbi, do I need special equipment to check fruits or vegetables, or does my naked eye suffice? Well, it depends on your vision. It depends on your vision. It depends on your ability. It depends on the lighting that you have. And it also depends on what you're eating. There are certain things that if you have good vision, it's your ability is enough. Your naked eye is enough. There are certain things that you should use one of these special lamps in order to see certain things, because the naked eye will usually miss it. Not because they're so small, but rather because they blend in, or because you're simply not looking in certain places. So it's certainly good to use different tools. Now, you don't need to go to the extent of what some of these videos do, where they go into a microscope and they look at how there's a tiny little microscopic bug in there. You don't need to necessarily get the microscope in a computer to check your vegetables, but you certainly should learn how to wash things properly, know how to look at certain things, know what to stay away from. And if something is as simple as just simply getting a light for $20 to help you see things more clearly, then why not? Why not exert the extra effort to make sure that everything you're eating is good for you? Isn't Ishmael the son of Abraham just like Isaac? No, because Ishmael was through Hagar, the maidservant Hagar, and Yitzchak, Isaac, was the son of Sarah. So when God said that both are his sons, but the ones that the Jewish people will come from, he specifically said that it's going to be from Yitzchak, from Isaac, not from Ishmael. And also, Yitzchak was righteous. Ishmael was wicked for a big part of his life. What is a Jew to do if he's secluded away from community with no money to move to where Jews live? Well, he still has to follow the Torah to the best of his ability, to learn Torah as often as possible, and to also try to get a job that is going to pay him enough to be able to move. And certainly pray to Hashem that that effort that he exerts succeeds in him being able to afford to move to a Jewish community. What do I enjoy about my faith in Judaism and HaShem? I enjoy that I live the truth. I enjoy that I serve the one and only God. I enjoy that I'm able to learn an endless amount of Torah, and is something that affects my life, affects my children's life, affects other people's life only in a positive way. I enjoy that I have a real relationship with God. I enjoy that I learn how to be more and more moral. I enjoy that I don't have to overthink the difference between right and wrong, because all of the rules of what's right and what's wrong was already decided by the Creator, and therefore all I need to do is just simply see what the Torah says, and therefore I already know what's right and what to do. In so many words, living a life of Torah is like having a cheat sheet to success in life, in every aspect of life. If somebody follows the Torah, they are guaranteed to live a fulfilling and fruitful life. This does not mean that a person is not going to have difficulties and obstacles, as difficulties and obstacles are a necessary part of life in order for you to achieve your goal, in order for you to overcome different things. You have to have obstacles. And why would Hashem give you obstacles? Because in order for you to elevate yourself, you have to keep overcoming different things. Just like if somebody wants to become stronger, they have to keep lifting more and more weight and exercise more and more, and each time lift more and more. Same concept with somebody that wants to elevate their soul. They have to overcome different things. It's not enough to just read. It's not enough to just read. You have to actually apply the Torah to your life. This is the reason why many times when people seclude themselves, especially in the world of internet today, where they learn, they watch lectures, they read some books, but they are far removed from the Jewish community, and they've never been in one. They have a very very perverted way of looking at Judaism and the Jewish world, because simply their only perspective of it is something that's in their imagination or something that was told to them. And many times when they go into a Jewish community, it's a huge adjustment for them, because they realize that whatever their reality was, it's simply not reality in real life. And that's why it's important for a Jew to live in a Jewish community, but also to learn Torah and not let those that are weak in their servitude of God be the defining factor of what the Jewish community is. Know that Judaism is defined by the Torah, not necessarily always by the Jewish people. Some Jewish people are great representatives of the Torah and great representatives of Judaism, and some people are not. Just like in anything else in the world, some people are great representatives of what medicine and ethical medicine is, and some people are not. Some people are great representation of ethical law, and some people are not. So it's you have to understand that you can't define all of the Jewish people based on a few people that you don't like or a few people that did bad things. You can't define anything by a few people. But when you have the laws of God, and you see that there are certain people that are following it to the T, the ethical aspects of it, the moral aspects of it, the ideological aspects of it, they're following it from A to Z, then you could say, okay, these are the representatives of Judaism. Why? Because they're following what the Torah says. They're following what the Torah says. And the beauty of living a Jewish life is that you have not only the ability to live like that, but you also have the ability to meet people like this. And they're such wonderful people. They're so giving. They're so helping. They're so smart. And it's unbelievable to most people. But when you meet Torah scholars, true Torah scholars that are dedicated to the Torah, you start realizing that the difference between them and the rest of the world is almost like the difference between one species and another. They might as well be an alien. There's a very, very difference. The only similarity between them and everybody else in society is that they're also of human flesh. They have hands, they have legs, they have face. That's the only similarity. Everything else, as far as ideology, mentality, behavior, and so on, is a world apart. Now, not everybody that's religious is a Torah scholar. Some people are, some people aren't. But nonetheless, when you have the ability to learn and spend time with Torah scholars, that already gives you a completely different perspective of what Judaism is. Most people's perspective of Judaism is pretty much what they see on TV, what they see in Hollywood, which is literally the opposite of what Judaism is supposed to be. It's Hollywood and those so-called superstars in the secular world are not representing Judaism. They're simply representing themselves in their perverted definition of what Judaism is, not real Judaism. Judaism is what the Torah says it is, and that's what you have to go to, and that's Baruch HaShem. That's what we live. Okay. All right, Rabotai, let me see. I'll try to see if I can answer maybe one or two questions from a different channel that I haven't looked at yet. Secular cousin recently got married to a secular Jewish woman in the courthouse in the state where he resides. A notary public officiated the ceremony. There was no one else present. He does not want a religious ceremony. Can I consider them married and say Mazal Tov? They are planning on coming to New York this summer for a huge family celebration hosted by an uncle in a Glad Kosher restaurant. My uncle insisted that I attend. May this be an opportunity to be mekarev them. Are they married? No, they're not considered married, and you cannot consider anyone that is openly violating the Torah to be complying with the Torah. Marriage is only something that is determined by the Torah. For Jewish people to be married, they have to follow the laws of marriage, which is to have a ketubah, to have a kosher witnesses. So pretty much what they have right now is simply considered a promiscuous relationship. That's all they have. She's obviously nida, she's not going to the mikveh, and therefore they're living in sin. So you cannot pretend like just because they're both living in the same house and making sins together, that all of a sudden it became okay. Second thing, as far as some type of dinner hosted in a Glad Kosher restaurant, if there is just simply kosher food, but no mixed dancing or things of that nature, there's no problem for you to go eat. And if they're there, they're there. But if there's going to be mixed dancing and things of that nature, then certainly you cannot go. Not in any way. Okay. I will never wear a wig thanks to your lectures, but my neighbor claims that synthetic wigs are kosher. Is this true? It's not necessarily true across the board, because according to research that was done in a lab, the average synthetic wig has about 3% real hair in it, which comes from India. So it cannot be true across the board. Is it possible? Yes, it's possible. But again, this is also assuming that the synthetic wig is short and modest. But if a person is wearing a synthetic wig, even if it's all fake, plastic, but that synthetic wig is, inappropriately long, and inappropriately groomed or whatever, then of course, then it doesn't matter that it's made out of plastic. It's still not appropriate. Even if it's pink, it's not going to help it. So as far as to just simply say that something is kosher across the board is not possible. Everything has, there's details. Details are necessary. Details are the difference between getting a mitzvah and going to heaven, and getting a sin and going to Gehenna. So we can't just simply say yes or no for any one particular thing without knowing all the details. See. Can I go to a mixed gym where there's boys and girls working out? Absolutely not. Every Jew has to read the Shema Yisrael every single day. And the Shema Yisrael, part of the Shema Yisrael, the one that's close to the part where it talks about the tzitzit, HaKadosh Baruch Hu commands us in the Torah, V'lo tatu achrei levavchem ve'achrei einechem. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, do not go after the desires of your heart, the desires of your eyes. because this is going to lead you to sin. Now, a person said, yeah, but maybe I'm not going to look. I'm not going to look at these girls that are in the gym. The Gemara in Masechet Bava Batra, page 57b, says that if there is another way to travel, but a person still chooses to travel in a place where there's immorality, where there's immodesty, just the fact that they decided to go on that path, even if they don't look at anything, they're still already determined to be a wicked person in the eyes of God. In fact, the Gemara in Masechet Sanhedrin, page 107a, says that a Jew is not allowed to put themselves in a place where there is spiritual challenges, such as going to a gym where there's both the men and women, or a beach, or a nightclub, or any of these places where there's immorality, where there is immodesty. You're not allowed to go to such places. So if a person wants to work out, they have to go, if they're a man, they have to go to a men-only gym. If it's a female, she has to go to a gym that's only females. That's it. Simple. And it's even more strict for the women, where she has to make sure that even the employees in that women-only gym are also only women. Because if they have a women-only gym, but all of the employees are guys, then it's the same thing as going to a mixed gym. So you have to be careful with that as well. Okay, Rabotai, thank you very much for learning with me. May HaKadosh Baruch Hu bless each and every single one of you that has learned with me, that's going to share this lecture. Anyone that sends me an email in the next couple of days, meaning by Shabbat, will be in a, one of the people we will look at and potentially send you a free hat. We'll choose at least 10 people over the next few days that send me an email to info@BeEzratHashem.org, or an email through our website, info@BeEzratHashem.org. Send an email that you watched the lecture all the way to the end, and we will look at you and determine, we'll do like a little internal lottery and decide for at least 10 to 20 people that are going to win a free BeEzrat Hashem a free BeEzrat Hashem hat, like the many people that have won over the last couple of weeks. I think we've sent out already 20, 30 different hats, maybe more. So for anybody that wants to buy the hat or the other things, they're in our store, that you could buy them for, I think in YouTube, there's, you could press on one of the buttons, and also you can go to bhshop.org and you can buy some of the BeEzrat Hashem products there. Either way, we're going to be giving out a bunch of free hats for anybody that sends me an email to info@BeEzratHashem.org. We will choose a few people. Like I said, 10 to 20 people. I don't know the exact number, but it should be at least 10 and possibly as much as 20 people who win a free hat. Also, anyone that joins our WhatsApp page. There's a WhatsApp group and there's also a WhatsApp page. We're giving out a free hat every day this month. So, if you're there, you'll be able to potentially get a free hat there, and probably we'll add some other prizes too, just for fun, just for inspiration, just for people to continue watching. Simple. Marketing for HaShem. Thank you very much for learning. Anyone that wants to donate, go to bhtorah.org or BeEzratHashem.org. May HaShem bless each and every one of you. Call to B'cha B'atzlacha and Shabbat Shalom.
אני מברך את הרבנים, הרב ירון ראובן, הרב אפרים כחלון, ראשי ארגון בעזרת השם, שהלכו בפי עליון, שעלו מעלה, יהיה להם ברכה והצלחה, הקדוש ברוך הוא ימלא בישועות ליבם לטובה ולברכה, שבכל אשר יפנו ישכילו ויצליחו, יזכרו לעשות כאלה וכאלה, הודיעו תורה לאדירה, אמן ואמן.